Oh yeah, we're back with some more peak fiction. There's no amount of words that can express how I feel about this recent episode. Like, it is insanely peak. Like, I genuinely cannot put into words how amazing this episode is, and the fact that we're only just getting started is crazy. One Piece is literally on a generational run. You love to see it. If y'all boys excited for this heat, comment One Piece is peak. Now grab your golden Oreos and pink lemonade. Them shits fire. Now on with the heat. So the scene opens up to Caribou trying to convince Augur and Devin to take him to see Blackbeard. But Augur wasn't trusting bro and was ready to light him up with that unnecessarily long sniper. But Caribou's persistent and continue to attempt to change their minds. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, as the Marine soldiers struggle against the pacifistas, Vice Admiral Doderman told all the other Vice Admirals to leave their position and eliminate Bonnie, as she is currently moving away from the center of the Faberia phase to the northeast coast, which this buff-ass nigga Vice Admiral Toso was already on it. Just look at the way he's sprinting. That nigga swear he finna get moved up in the ranks. He's one of them niggas that take his job extremely seriously. Bro was moving before he even got the command. And the gang takes notice, so Alice put her boots on full power with Frankie doing so as well. And he started to dodge the trees. Meanwhile, this nigga Tosa was clapping his way through the trees. Then used armament hockey, preparing to unleash a devastating attack, and I'm not gonna hold you. Watching this for the first time, I thought he was gonna do a hockey kamehameha. But unfortunately for bro, he got flattened like a pancake. But he's lucky as hell that X was flipped on the backside. So the gang stopped to see what just happened, as they are now in the presence of some dogs. Which Broggy asked who they were, because he did research on the Straw Hats' new wanted posters and doesn't recognize them. And Dory lets them know that they're here for the Straw Hats. But Frankie, assuming they're the enemy, stood on business and was like, hold on gang, Luffy is our captain, what do you have against him? Which Broggy's like, we have nothing against him, just gratitude. And Dory's like, if you're their friends, we'll protect you at all costs, on some W man shit. So Bonnie wasted no time in commanding them to turn back and help Luffy, Sanji, and Vegapunk, who are still at the center of the island. So the giants split up, leaving some to escort the gang while the others take their lead to slide to Luffy's side. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, we see the Vice Admirals getting ready to slide, and just look at the amount of budget they put on this queen of a Vice Admiral. They done gave Vice Admiral Dog better animation for simply skywalking than what they do for Sanji when he's performing crazy feats. And you know what? I'm not even mad at it. Shawty bad as fuck. A solid 10 out of 10. Now panning on the other side of things, Saturn starts to transform while Luffy checks up on Vegapunk, who's holding on for dear life. Meanwhile, Saturn draws closer to the gang as he's now transformed and covered in poison. And Sanji's locked on Kizaru while Luffy checks on Vegapunk, trying to get him to move. Now Sanji was ready to get active when suddenly this monstrosity popped out the cut. And Vegapunk tells Luffy how he wanted to wait till Bonnie's older to tell her about her authority over the pacifistas, and tells Luffy to keep Bonnie safe, which you already know Luffy gonna protect her with every fiber of his being. Now Sanji talking head to Saturn, but Saturn focused on Luffy, thinking he's Sneak Nation certified, but Luffy gets out the way with Sanji saving Vegapunk. So Saturn's on the attack, but Luffy taunts Saturn to get his attention. Luffy's being an elite rage baiter as he's effortlessly dodging Saturn's attacks. And he tells Sanji to get Vegapunk out of there and don't worry if it hurts to move him. But Saturn tries to put a stop to him, so Luffy intercepts and continues to emote on Saturn to get him heated even more. And Saturn is struggling to lay a single hit on Luffy. This is really light work for bro. He even broke the fourth wall mid-fight. And as Sanji's on the move, Kizaru pulls up kicking the crap out of Sanji, but I know one thing though, bro gon' always keep maximum grip on his cigarette. But yeah, then that man Kizaru wasted no time to go for the fatal blow on Vegapunk, which Luffy peeped, so he told Sanji to run to the back of the island as Kizaru's standing there in distress. But suddenly Kizaru locked in and goes for Sanji, but Luffy's not gonna let that slide. So as Kizaru's on the move, Luffy transforms into a giant and grips the hell out of Kizaru. And Saturn's still trying to be Sneak Nation certified, but Luffy dodges his attack and grips him by his face. Then held that pose for the cleanest flick in fiction. Now Luffy's pissed as hell and gave Kizaru a smile, but don't be mistaken, he's not smiling because he's always joyful in his Gear 5 form. Nah, he's smiling because he knows he's gonna have fun putting belt to ass on both of them in the most diabolical of ways. There's nothing but malicious intent behind that smile. Meanwhile, Vegapunk takes a look at Luffy being a dog once more as he's posted up with so much aura, then sadly passes away. But Vegapunk had a message prepared to be triggered by his death, which is set to broadcast all over the world, as we see a lot of familiar faces across the sea being able to hear Vegapunk's recording. And the gang has no context of the situation, so they're confused on how they're able to hear Vegapunk's voice as well as Shaka's voice right now, as Shaka has been shot by York a while ago. Meanwhile, Dory and Broggy continue packing up the Marines as they make their way to Luffy's side. And Vegapunk decides to put his speech on hold for 10 minutes in order to give the world time to prepare to receive the broadcast. And with Luffy hearing Vegapunk and Shaka's voice, he now has the notion that they're alive and is ready to pack up Kizaru and Saturn as he aggressively holds the two of them. Meanwhile, the world is tapping in to hear what Vegapunk has to say because bro simply has that much motion. But real quick, why this man dragging aura forming? Bro just can't be normal and watch the broadcast like everyone else? Instead, this nigga's looking east. But yeah, the fight between Luffy, Kizaru, and Saturn commence, with Kizaru trying to be Sneak Nation certified, but light speed is just too slow for Luffy. And Luffy stretched his arms back, then completely flattened Kizaru Kizaru and Saturn with Dawn's symbol. Now hold on, let's rewind it real quick cause Kizaru got that man Saturn looking at him with that James Dokes meme. Got Saturn like, I know you're holding back, I just can't prove it. Also, peep this impact frame of Luffy using a symbol just before he flattened Kizaru and Saturn. By the way, a symbol is the saucer-shaped percussion instrument you mainly see on drums but can also be used in hand. But yeah. Then Luffy proceeds to toy around with the two of them as he spins them on his finger like they're pizza, the most exquisite delicacy I may add. And something flying like saucers with Kizaru crashing on one of the marine ships. Meanwhile, Saturn busts a Yui which Luffy was not expecting and started getting chased by Saucer Saturn. Meanwhile, Kizaru's laying on the ship still emotionally distressed as he thinks about how he just killed his dear friend. And whole time the marine soldiers was bugging bro like, damn, can a nigga not be distressed in peace and gather his thoughts? I'm not gonna hold you, if Kizaru decided to start kicking those niggas with his light speed kick during this moment, I would not be mad at bro. That'll be a valid crash out. Like, I get you checking up on your mans, but relax. And Saturn's still chasing Luffy as he tries to attack him, but to no avail. And peep this shot of Luffy, bro really looking clean. But yeah, since the Gorosei is running out of time as they need to stop Vegapunk's broadcast, the Gorosei prepare to get summoned to Egghead as they all step into the summoning circle as Saturn prepares the summoning. Meanwhile, the Giants was putting in work on the Marines and Dory and Bragi pulling up looking like some demons. Meanwhile, Luffy's taking a close look at the situation, and with Sanji understanding the situation, he's now in a hurry. And Luffy's still avoiding Saturn's attack as it continues to get crazy on the battlefield with all the Gorosei starting to emerge. Now, one thing about Luffy, he may be goofy, but he knows when it's time to lock in. And really quickly, an incredible detail I noticed after Luffy used advanced observation haki to detect the souls of the Gorosei the moment the Gorosei was covered by the smokescreen Saturn created, was that within this amazing scene, we see the Gorosei in their transformed state circling underneath Luffy. But yeah, so all the Gorosei starts to walk towards Luffy with Luffy looking like, damn, I gotta solo this? And so it cycles through all the Gorosei members with their respective transformation. Now, I'm not gonna lie, these niggas moving kinda tough. Meanwhile, Luffy's moving all over the place as the building starts to collapse. But bro really just having fun as he zips around the Gorosei with a big smile on his face. And this shot of Luffy staring down all the Gorosei is crazy tough. Now, he told them niggas to chill out or else they'll destroy the island, and he matched the energy by becoming a giant. But Saturn snuck bro and called Luffy with that ability he's always spamming. Like, bro, switch it up. Meanwhile, Zoro takes off, and let's be honest, Zoro is absolutely the coldest Gorosei member along with having the coldest transformation of the Gorosei. He's also the only Gorosei with a sword. That nigga real life tough. You feel me? But yeah, Zoro is moving fast as hell as he rushes over to assist the Marine soldiers. And he starts cutting down the pacifistas with such quickness while simultaneously freezing them. Had the Marines unable to perceive him until he came to a stop. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, as Sanji gets in contact with Nami, Robin, and the others, he sees that Mars is making his way up to level phase, so he tells them that they have to get out of there now because a monster that is clearly dangerous is on its way up. Meanwhile, a lightning bolt strikes directly at Sanji, but he evades it. And Nami lets Sanji know that everyone isn't there yet when suddenly Lilith and Brook pulled up with 1,000 Sunny. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Luffy is still making light work of Saturn's attacks, showing why he's head of Weave Nation. So Jupiter jumped in trying to eat Luffy, pause. Meanwhile, Zoro is still packing up the pacifistas, and Mars makes his way inside the barrier. Meanwhile, Usopp lets Sanji know that Brook and Lilith has arrived with their ship, which Usopp managed to put to a stop. And he tells Sanji that they would love to leave, but Zoro and Jinbei is not there. So Sanji asks Jinbei what's going on, which Jinbei understands the situation and lets Sanji know that he'll be there soon, and even if their battle isn't over, he'll drag Zoro with him by force. So Sanji's like, I bet, gang. Meanwhile, Lucci and Zoro got fire in their eyes as their battle rages on, with Lucci launching a Tempest kick and tried to follow up, but Zoro clapped back, and right before they clashed, they both felt a disturbing haki. But that's not gonna stop these dogs from commencing the violence. And before clashing again, they felt the disturbing haki once again, which Lucci and Zoro speaks on, but like I said, that's not gonna stop these dogs from commencing the violence. Meanwhile, Jinbei now have them in his sights as Lucci's getting Weave Nation certified. Then jumps in the air and started spamming Tempest kick, but I'm not gonna hold you, both Zoro and Lucci really moving different right now. And what I like about Zoro is no matter what environment he's in, he's gonna find a way to get mobility and get up with his opponent. And with them moving so fast, all you see is slashes from their attacks. But Jinbei's like, god damn, they're still fighting? Which Sanji starts talking head on Zoro, calling him dead weight. Now that was just a push Zoro needed to get serious and end things quickly. So as Lucci pulled up using hand pistol, Zoro starts dodging all of his attacks, really moving like his Captain Luffy. And peep the letter Z Zoro had made when he hopped on the broken tree. Your boy really be paying attention to detail. But yeah, then Zoro hit Lucci with Huva spot hunt, had that man Jinbei in shock. Now panning on the other side of things, Luffy is on the verge of being swallowed by Jupiter, pause. But he managed to escape and was like, hey, I'm not delicious, wait, maybe I am. Then suddenly Saturn grabs hold of Luffy and swung him into workery, then tossed him back to Jupiter, who finally gobbled up Luffy, pause. But Dory and Bragi pulled up right on time as they saw Luffy and was like, a dark place doesn't suit that man. So they ran down on the Gorosei, packing up both Saturn and workery with ease. Then proceeds to run up on Jupiter, hitting him with Sunsaw, cutting him clean in half, freeing Luffy. And Bragi's like, it's been a while, and Dory's like, we couldn't just stand by, so we pulled up to save you, with Luffy being happy to see the both of them. And yeah, those One Piece episodes 1142, 1143, and 1144 in all its greatness. You already know these episodes are absolutely pure heat, a solid 10 out of 10 for me, cause One Piece never miss. Now, with that being said, if you made it this far, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, we moving. Also, I'm taking recommendations, bro, so hit the comments. And more heat on the way.